Thanks for joining me today with this sore muscle flow on the Mindful Living YouTube channel. Let's start in child's pose position. Big toes touch, knees are wide, mats width distance apart. Arms are outstretched in front of us. As we sink the chest towards the floor, allow the full weight of the body to be supported by the earth beneath us, releasing any tension or muscle holds in this moment. Noticing if you're clenching or tensing up anywhere, and seeing if you can allow your mind's eye to rest in this position, and coming high on the fingertips. Still in child's pose here, your hips may start to elevate off your heels, and using your fingertips, you're just going to push into the ground to allow your hips to sink back down towards the heels as you start to stretch into the armpits, while taking full and deep complete inhalation, complete exhalation, really allowing your chest to sink towards the ground. You can start to come into tabletop position. Shoulders are stacked over wrist, hips are stacked over knees, and we're going to flow a bit, dropping the belly for cow pose, looking forward. Round the spine, push the ground away, sink your hips back towards your heels for child's. Inhale, come forward, drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades together for cow. Exhale, round the spine, sink the hips towards the heels. Toes can be tucked or untucked here. Inhale, come forward for cow pose, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, round the spine, push the ground away, tuck the chin to the chest, and sink your hips back down towards your heels. Coming forward for cow pose. Round the spine for child's. Coming forward into tabletop. Drop the belly once more for cow pose and hold. Coming onto the fingertips this time. Really squeezing those shoulder blades together. We're going to start to circle our torso around, dropping the belly to the ground, circling all the way around, so we're flowing in between cat and cow. This time's taking circular motions with the torso, really getting into every corner of the torso, switching directions, circling the spine around. Good organic movement, finding what feels good for you, matching each round with each breath. Continue here, and we'll come back to center, coming down off the fingertips. Inhale, left arm comes up to the sky, and thread the needle. Left arm comes underneath the right armpit. Keeping the right hand by the face, you're going to start to push into that hand to roll off onto the left shoulder. We're going to extend that right leg long so that it's parallel to the left arm. So we're going to start to open up through the shoulder here and also through the hamstrings. Just gently waking up the body. You can grab your toes with your peace sign grip if you like, if you can reach that right foot. Otherwise, you're just creating that mind to muscle action. And we'll come back up into tabletop, switching sides, inhaling those right fingertips to the sky. Thread the needle, right hand comes underneath left armpit. Keeping the left hand by the face, you'll start to push into that left hand to roll off onto the right shoulder, to wake up through the backside body and extend that left leg long parallel to the right arm. Right toes can be tucked or untucked. This will require a little bit of balance, but using your core for stability, tucked toes for stability. Let's come back into tabletop position. From here, we're coming into a modified side plank. So kickstanding that right foot out, extending the left leg long. Inhale, left fingertips up towards the sky. And an inhale, you're going to bring your left hand to your left leg. Right arm is going to sweep up and over, reaching for the backside of the mat. You're going to plant the right hand back onto the ground, extending that left arm, left bicep up towards the ear, reaching for the ground, and inhaling, come up, left hand to left leg, right arm comes up and over, And dropping that right hand back to the ground. We're waking up both sides' bodies. We're waking up the obliques, the spine. And inhale that left arm back up. Using your core here for stability to also allow ourselves to come up. We're going to hold here with our left hand on our left leg, finding Gyan Mudra with that right hand. Opening up through the chest. If you notice you're caving into your chest, release the mudra, bring your right hand down to the mat, left arm comes up and over, left bicep to left ear. Fingertips are active through that left hand. Again, opening through the chest. Take Gyan Mudra if you'd like, index finger to thumb. We're going to reach around for that left ankle with the left arm, finding a quad stretch. So squeezing the heel towards the glutes, waking up the top side of the leg. If you'd like to, you can start to take a back bend by kicking into the left hand with the left foot, creating an arch through the spine. It can be as small or as exaggerated as you'd like. And coming out, bringing that left foot to the outside of the mat for a deep lizard lunge. Back knee is lifted to start. And we'll start to lift and lower that back knee. You can feel free to place a block underneath your hands here also to create more space in the hips. I'm just going to drop that back knee to the ground, tap and lift it, and lower, lift, and lower, tapping the mat with your knee. And lift, toes are tucked, and lift. Taking this about 5 more times at the pace of your own breath. Maybe you need it slower, maybe you need a little faster. We're just starting to wake up the trunk of the body before we take a static hold. And untucking the toes, dropping the back knee for that static hold. Feel free to stay on your hands, or if you have the space, you can come down onto your forearms. Neither one is better than the other, but every day requires something different. So take a moment to check in with yourself and ask what it is that you need today. And if you have a block underneath your hands, you can start to remove it. Placing both palms in the ground, tuck the back toes and extend through the left leg so that we're in a pyramid pose. So we're folded over that left leg, although it is to the outside of both of our hands. Back toes are about a 45-degree angle. Front toes are lifted, so we're flexing through the quad so that we can lengthen through the hamstring. So we're tucking those toes back towards the shin. Ideally keeping the hips square to the ground. Again, you can adjust and play with the feet positioning here. Taking one last breath here before we lift the left leg to three-legged dog, extending it up towards the sky, opening through that left hip, reaching the toes to the sky, and we're gonna drop that left heel to the glutes, opening through the left side body. If your hamstrings are still tight, feel free to take a bend in that right leg. Extend the left leg long and dropping it to the mat for a downward facing dog, and dropping your knees to the mat for a tabletop position, kickstanding out the left leg. Right leg is extended long, right fingertips are reaching for the sky. And we're going to start to flow through this again. Right hand comes to the right leg, left arm comes up and over. Left hand comes to the mat, right hand sweeps up and over, bicep to ear. Inhale, using core strength, we come back up, right hand to right leg, left arm comes up and over. Reach for the back side of the mat and plant that left hand to the mat, right bicep to right ear. Reach for the top of the mat. Inhale, come up, left bicep to left ear. Exhale, plant the left hand, moving, matching your breath with each movement. Reach for the ground. Inhale, arm sweeps up and over. Left bicep to left ear and hold. Feel free to find Gyan Mudra with that left hand, index finger and thumb to touch. Deep breaths opening through the left side body. One more deep breath here. And start to plant that left hand back to the mat. Right arm reaches up and over, bicep to ear. Reaching for the top of the mat. Find mudra with that right hand if you'd like. Creating a line of energy from the pinky finger all the way down to the toes. Open through that right side body. And let's find that quad stretch, reaching around with the right hand to grab the right ankle. Squeeze the heel into the glutes, activating the top side of that right leg. And feel free to start to kick into the right hand with the right foot for that arch, for a small back bend. Breathing into the chest, release the foot. Plant both palms. Right foot steps to the top of the mat for a deep lizard lunge. Again, lifting that back left leg as we start to lubricate the hips. If you'd like, you can place a block underneath the hands to create that space once more. We're just going to lift and lower the back leg, tapping the mat with the knee and lifting, exaggerating the movement. It can be as large or as small as you like, as expansive or as simple as you need it to be. There's no judgment, it's just observation. Sides are different, honoring that, asking your body what it needs, and continue to tap that back knee, and this time we'll hold, untuck the left toes. Feeling free to stay high on the hands here, also coming down onto the forearms if you have the space to do so. Close your eyes if you'd like. Feel into the body. Allow the mind's eye to rest wherever it is in the body that you feel the most sensation. Allowing the mind to still as we find stillness in our practice. Making sure that your right knee is stacked over your ankle. And if you notice your mind does start to wander, simply bringing it back to the sensation in the body. Taking a couple more rounds of breath here. We're going to start to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Remove the block if you have it and straighten out through that right leg for pyramid pose. Both palms are planted on the inside of that right foot. You can come onto your fingertips here. And trying to keep the hips as square to the ground as you can. Remembering that if you need to play with the foot positioning, you can. Bringing it closer or wider together. Tucking those right toes back towards the right shin. Take one more round of breath. Before inhaling those right toes to the sky for three-legged dog. Opening up through the right hip, pointing those toes towards the sky. And then dropping the right heel towards the glutes. Taking the big bend in the left leg if you need to, if the hamstrings are still tight. And we'll plant that right foot to the ground, meeting the left and downward facing dog. Again, feel free to take a big bend in the knees so that your torso and your thighs are making contact. So you're really able to lift your hips towards the sky and drop your chest towards the ground. You can start to gently extend the legs long. Inhale, come high on the toes, bend the knees. And step gently all the way towards the top of the mat until you're in a forward fold, lifting halfway and folding over those thighs, shifting weight so that it's in both the heels and the toes, grabbing opposite elbows, dropping the crown of the head towards the ground. Again, shifting weight so that it's in both your toes and your heels. It may feel like you'll fall forward, but really by gripping the ground with your toes, you strengthen the toes and you start to get into the low back and the upper back in this forward fold. You can still have a big bend in your knees as well so that your torso is draped over your thighs. You're allowing your head to act as a heavy weight. And slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, we're going to lift up into standing. Arms are going to sweep up and overhead. You'll interlace your fingertips at the top and start to Lean over towards the right side of the mat for a side stretch, expanding through the left side body, bringing the biceps towards the ears, seeing if you can stay open through that chest. Come back through center, leaning over to the left side mat, reaching up and out of the hips. Fingertips are interlaced at the top, keeping the chest open, the side body open. Deep breath into the right side body, allow it to expand. And come back to center. Bring your hands down through heart center. Bringing the right knee into the chest, interlace the fingertips around the knee. Hugging the right knee into the chest, into the torso. Right toes are pointed. Draw the shoulder blades down the back here. Really lifting up and out of that left leg. Before we come into figure 4 position, right ankle comes across and on top of that left leg, on top of the left knee. Just ever so gently pushing that right knee towards the ground to open through the hip. You can stay here, or you can wrap your arms around the right leg. Otherwise, keeping your hands at heart center at prayer, staying lifted through the chest. Dropping the hips towards the ground to increase that stretch through the right hip. Finding a still point on the ground, your drishti, single point of observation for focus. Before we come into wide-legged forward fold, stepping that right foot back towards the back of the mat. Toes are turned in, heels are slightly out, and we'll fold forward, dropping the crown of the head towards the ground. Grabbing either ankle to help gently draw our torso towards the floor, creating that line of energy from the crown of the head to the hips, to the tip of the tailbone, down the legs, and walking our hands out in front of us so that we're in a wide-legged downward facing dog, dropping the chest towards the ground, but also pushing into our hands to help lift our hips towards the ceiling, helping expand through the back sides of those legs. We're still engaging our quads here so that we help lengthen through the hamstrings. Always remembering to come back to the breath. One last breath here before you start to walk your hands back to center. Inhaling to a flat back, drop the right hand directly underneath the face. Inhale those left fingertips towards the sky. So you're creating that line of energy from fingertip to fingertip. You're really pushing up and out of that right hand. You're not dumping into the right hand, but you're strong through the arms, lifted through the torso. Take a bind with the left arm at the low back. Bring the right hand across to the left leg, whether that be on the knee, the shin, the ankle, playing with the positioning for yourself, for your own body. So we're twisting through the torso. If you have the space, feel free to drop your chest towards that left leg. Otherwise, without compromising the pose, stay lifted through the chest. And come back to center, extend arms long, drop that left hand underneath the face. Right fingertips extend towards the sky, creating that line of energy, reaching for the ceiling, reaching for the sky with your right fingertips. Lifting up and out of that left hand. Keeping the hips as square to the ground as you can. Find that bind with the right hand, hooking it at the low back and around the left hip. Left arm can come over to the right leg, whether that be the knee, the shin, the ankle. And if you have the space, dropping your chest towards the right leg. Again, observing the difference in sides without judgment. Remembering to take full, deep body breaths. Start to unwind, come back through center, inhale to a flat back. Turn towards the back of your mat, step the left foot up, bringing the knee in towards the chest, interlacing the fingertips around that left knee. Really lifting up and out of the right leg, squeezing the glutes, reaching the crown of the head towards the ceiling, pointing the left toes, allowing your leg to shake and wobble if it does. And come into figure 4 position. Left ankle comes on top of right knee. You can gently push the left knee towards the ground, ever so gently, not forcing it in any way. And if you'd like, wrapping the arms around that left leg, otherwise staying lifted through the chest and having hands at prayer, heart center. Wherever you are, imagine there's a string pulling that left knee towards the ground, so you're activating the outer side of the left hip, stretching it but also engaging it. Come back through center, step the left foot back so that we're in horse stance, goddess pose. Inhale, arms sweep up and bring them into goalpost arms. Sink the hips and extend the arms and the legs long, reach for the sky and drop the hips for goddess. On your inhale, rise, arms and legs straighten. Exhale, goddess pose, horse stance. Inhale, rise, everything lengthens, reaches for the sky, and exhale, drop the hips to the ground. This time we'll hold, drawing both knees out, not allowing them to cave in. Toes are turned out, heels are in if they aren't already. From here, we're going to place the palms on top of the knees, starting to drop the shoulders in towards the center of our body. For a spinal twist, dropping the left shoulder. Remembering to draw our knees out, not allowing them to cave in. We're just dropping shoulder to the center of our body, the center of our mat. Stretching through the upper back, mid back, lower back. Stretching through the front side of the body, through the front of the shoulders. Again, moving as slow or as fast as you need. And coming back through center, let's find triangle pose on the right side. Right toes are facing forward, back toes are turned out. Arms are at a T. We'll reach all the way for the back side of the mat and reach all the way forward, creating space in the side body. And drop the right hand to the right leg. Left fingertips are lifted towards the sky. You can look up for a more heating element in your practice, or you can look down to invite a sense of cooling into your practice. Making sure that the hips don't hike up into the sky. If you have the space, you can bring the right hand directly down to the mat. Reaching the left arm up and over so the left bicep comes to the left ear. Opening through the chest here. You can also have a block underneath your right hand for space, to create space in that left side body and in the hamstring as well. And let's start to walk our hands through wide-legged forward fold and gently rolling up to standing to find triangle on the left side. Toes are forward, arms are out to a T, reaching all the way back. And reach all the way forward, creating space in the side bodies, and drop the left hand to the left leg. Right arm is lifted towards the sky. Take Yan Mudra with the right hand. Again, asking yourself if you need more of a heating energy or a cooling energy in your practice today by looking up or lifting down. Allow your mind's eye to rest wherever it is in the body that you feel the sensation the most. Noticing if your mind starts to wander and seeing if you can't bring it back to the breath. Your left hand can come down to the floor. Your right arm can come up and over so the right bicep is touching the right ear. Really opening through the right side body, expanding through the chest. And drop the right hand to the mat. Step the left foot back to meet the right for downward facing dog. Dropping your chest to the ground. Notice the difference in this downward facing dog versus the first one. Really lifting the hips high towards the sky. And take a bend in your knees, drop them towards the mat. Find child's pose. Sink the hips towards the ground. The chest, arms are extended out in front of us. And take a few breaths here. Notice the flow of breath to the brain, to the body, how just 20 minutes of movement can shift our physical, mental, emotional states of being. I hope you enjoyed this flow, and I'll see you next time.